What is going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. BobbyFi back with my man, Eric Sheets Saber. We are doing our Fanduel lineup building show for this Thursday. We just did a DraftKings show. I'm still not sure how I feel about this small slate. All right, man, we're going to try and find places to be creative on FanDuel because it's a little bit different than DraftKings for me. So what are just like your first thoughts about the differences between
Well, it's interesting. So I just picked what I thought was some good plays, and I made one decision, and just this initial build, like it begs the question of how much different you have to be and how many pivots you have to make. Like if you just stare at this build, knowing what some of these projections look like, and just having looked at the slate for a little bit, you're like, boy, all this stuff looks pretty chalky, except there's one bit of business which is excluded from this lineup. So this lineup has basically 9 semi-chalk plays, but just doesn't have AD, you know? So again, it's an interesting philosophical question on these 4-game slates. How many pivots do you need to make? You know what I mean? Like how off the board do you have to be? And I guess it does depend on the slate, you know, what the different options are and what's fadeable and what's not. But I guess we'll go position by position and see if we can't find something even below this chalk.
All right, man. Yeah, let's give it. I agree. It's a good looking. To me, it's a good looking, like pivoting, almost cash lineup. You know what I mean? Like it's
but you know, here's the problem again. Like I actually have three. Well, I actually have 3 Indiana guys with the ball with the McCollum. I mean,
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
And you have the 3 Sixers. You have the 3 Sixers with
no 3, and I have three Pacers.
And you have 3 Sixers.
Okay, so we needs work.
No, it just is what it is. It's fine. It's let's get into it. All right, so starting at point guard, obviously everybody's gonna play Rondo. Shake Milton's price over here is also like 4.3 is interesting. Malcolm Brogdon and Chris Paul, that's who everyone's gonna play. Is there any pivots that are jumping out to you?
Well, let's first discuss somebody who they also might play if he plays, and that's De'Aaron Fox.
That's the thing is with him being questionable, man, it really makes this slate weird.
So they just came out with questionable because he did come out of the game yesterday for like a little bit.
Yeah, I would be very concerned. I know yesterday it didn't happen with what's his name, who was questionable, but this is one I could see him missing.
Well, I mean, if he's out, they announced Corey Joseph starting. He's going to be 3,600. You know, you say not for me, but Rajon Rondo at 4. I don't know why is Rajon Rondo at 4K?
That's the argument, but the question is, where does the ownership then skew?
Right.
So if it doesn't go to Joseph being high, I would agree to play Joseph over Rondo, especially because we'll know probably that Joseph will be starting before we would know Rondo will be starting because that's the late game. So,
right.
Well, yes, you should assume Rondo's starting, all those things. You're playing cash, all those things. I just don't see I think there's other ways you can go here, but I do think that Rondo makes the most sense. Shake Milton, I'm okay with. He did play 37 minutes. I would be a little bit wary of that situation. You got Caruso. If you don't get the De'Aaron Fox out, I think is interesting. I think actually playing both Lakers is kind of interesting, but I might just go a little bit chalky here and just stick with what you got right up there, and that's the Brogdon Rondo. I mean, I think Chris Paul is going to be crazy high owned too, so I would rather play Brogdon, I think, than Chris Paul at 74. Except for the problem
let me do this. There are actually some people that just look at our FanDuel stuff and not DraftKings. So just for those people that didn't look at the DraftKings, go over again what you were telling me before about the Rondo situation, about what the word is kind of around LA and stuff like that. Like why did you just kind of like bring up Alex Caruso and even the conversation over here?
Basically, Alex Caruso he's been playing great all year. The numbers with him on the team are excellent when he's in the game. The things what you hear around LA and all the sports talk and any person you talk to is why don't we just give Rondo's minutes to Caruso already? Come on, what are we even doing? Caruso's been trending up in the right direction, and yet the minutes projection for him tonight are the same that he's been playing. And this is without LeBron, where he can easily handle some point guard responsibility. So I think he's interesting, and I think it's speculative to just assume that Rondo takes everything over here and thrives in doing so. I could see what if a scenario starts where he does start and they're down 10-0 fest and he's not playing defense, which happens with him sometimes. What happens if he picks up 2 quick fouls? When you have a guy that high owned and you have another player who could end up out-minuting them and outscoring them, who's on the same team and going to have 150 at the ownership, I just think it's worth looking at Caruso. He might have more of this job than we think.
Okay, you know what you could do? All right, you asked for some ways to pivot, some ways to be different. Okay, so I'm looking at this lineup here, for example. I know we want to go position by position, but I'm staring at 3 Pacers alongside of McCollum. And when we were talking about over at DraftKings, you were saying, I am a little bit worried that maybe the Portland game, it's possible that Indiana just kind of blows them out. And if they did blow them out, it would be interesting to fade that. What about some ridiculous like 3,500 TJ McCollum play or something like that, like for Indiana, and you could pivot off of Rondo that way, and you could also be betting on this against the whole Portland Indiana game staying close, and then you can end up getting chalky instead by playing more of the Philly guys, and maybe instead of playing Sabonis, you play the Philly guys and running it back with Randall or something like that, and you just hope the Portland game is the one that doesn't go well, and maybe TJ McCollum at 3,500 is safe enough in a blowout to get you where you need to get to there. I mean, I'm not saying that's the answer, but it just kind of came to me.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. I think it might be a little bit of a reach because the other value is so much better, like Shake, Milton, and Rondo getting the minutes that we anywhere near where we project, and they still should outpace them. I think maybe we just have to look elsewhere to be different, to be honest with you.
Okay.
It's the top 4 for me. I mean, Chris Paul is being the other one who I think is a totally solid play.
Okay. At shooting guard, well, the good thing is there's a top play, I mean, for me, and then after that you could just kind of screw around a little bit. Like for me, I think CJ McCollum's the most solid option. Okay, he's just been just killing it every game. Even when it looks like he's not going to kill it, he just does. And yeah, you could make the argument that there's blowout risk, but every 10-point spread will be blowout risk. And if it actually is within 10 or it's around 10, McCollum's going to be shooting every time he touches the ball. So I do think he's the best of all these plays, and he's certainly going to be popular. But after that, I do think that there's a little bit of a bunching, and some of them will be owned, and maybe some of them won't be as much. So I put Josh Richardson in here for now, and he's certainly a very, very strong play. And he's going to be chalky, but for good reason. But if you want to do other things, I mean, you could play either of the shooting guards from Oklahoma City, that being Shea and Schroeder. I'm not saying these guys are going to be 2% or anything like that, but they're definite options. And the other way you could go, which we alluded to a little bit on FanDuel, is if you wanted, you could play. Well, Victor Oladipo is still he's a little more expensive, but he's still only 4,800. And I know people that have been playing him. Actually, I should say people have been playing him and frustrated. I shouldn't say that because no one's been playing. You know what I mean? Just that one game where he was chalky, people played him, and no one's played him any other time. If in fact he does play, come with the back spasms or whatever. 4,800 on a 4-game slate. Maybe this is the time, Bobby. Maybe this is the 40 that we've been waiting for.
I'm into it. I think this is the place you want to be different because there's so many opportunities to do so. I do like Josh Richardson the best personally of any of the plays, including McCollum. I think he has a big game tonight, but I also like Oladipo as the tournament play a ton. So I can do that, and that's probably going to be what my big lineups will at least initially have. I also like Bogdanovich, and he's going to get a lot more ownership if Fox isn't backed out. And for good reason, he's going to be a much better play then. Maybe then you can even toy with the idea of playing Bogdanovich and Oladipo or something like that, because Bogdanovich then would all of a sudden get a lot more ownership, and Oladipo would have almost none. I like Shea a lot. I like Shea better than Chris Paul. It's just position stuff. Like, I obviously like him better, and he's cheaper over here, but I'm going to play Chris Paul more than I'm going to play Shea because I like these other places to pivot, and I think Shea's going to get a lot of ownership at shooting guard. I'd rather get the lower owned other guys. I'm just going to throw out a really long shot. Try to win a monster GPP tournament play would be either Burks or Korkmaz. I think that. Oh, you know what? And Buddy Hield. I mean, 5,900, man.
Yeah, that's what I just put in.
That's it makes it hard to justify the Oladipo thing, which again is probably
Why?
Ah, man, that's weird.
Why is it hard to justify Oladipo? Why don't you play Hield and Oladipo?
Because I really like Josh Richardson. I really like him. That's pretty much it. I guess if I don't, I mean, maybe I could play the other Philly guys elsewhere. That would be the way to go. But boy, it feels. I don't like it as much. I mean, it does sort of naturally. I get to play. Then I get to play Buddy Hield and Chris Paul in the lineup. That kind of works for me on mine.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I like it. I like Oladipo as a differentiator, but there are some other ones that are certainly worth noting that we sort of touched on. But like you said, Schroeder, he's a really good one. Obviously, Bogdanovich is probably going to end up with a lot higher ownership if we hear that Fox is out. By the way, if we don't have official news on Fox at lock, then I would play Bogdanovich because you're probably then just still looking at 10 to 20% owned versus 40 to 60 or something. Maybe not quite that high, but high. I can't bring myself to do the Damian Lee thing. I'm not going to play Casey over here.
No, you don't need to do that, I don't think.
No, I just think that it's the guys we mentioned. I mean, we're looking for guys who can crush. There's between Schroeder, Oladipo, Bogdanovich. Those are three guys that could, 8x, and it wouldn't even be surprising in the slightest bit, and are currently not projected to have a crazy ownership. I do think it's interesting to speculate, and I'm thinking about it more on DraftKings, but I do think Alec Burks is there could be a surprise of how things shift. Like Shake Milton's minutes might go away just because the back-to-back and stuff, and they also have been losing. Just don't be surprised if you see Alec Burks or somebody like that maybe get some more minutes. So just wanted to throw him out there. But, yeah, let's do it right now. Let's just do Hield and Oladipo, and then we can do whatever we want elsewhere. Play the chalk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in. All right, small forward. I guess. Oh wow, what's his name is not playing today, so there's no Hayward and Brown today. So it's always Hayward, Brown, Tobias, and Danilo, and two of them are playing. So boy, what a surprise! Tobias and Danilo are the two highest rated players. So I'm not going to play Danilo as a GPP winner. He just doesn't have that type of variance that I like. There it is. Now we got to lock Danilo in. This is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I'm telling you, people that were part of the DraftKings thing, that fire alarm that's going off in Bobby's house, it's not really a fire alarm. It's part of the software that he has set up that when somebody makes a really bad take, the alarm just goes and just blasts your take, like for everybody to hear, just piercing your eardrums forever. So when I said, I'm never going to play Danilo, he's terrible, probably have to lock him in now after that performance.
Yeah, that's so Danilo and Horford are the ones they keep trying to get us to play.
Yeah, but I do like. So what I was getting at though is that Gallinari, I don't like playing in general. I like 9-game slates, and I think that like on 4-game slate also. I mean, I don't think I could play somebody that safe. That's the best way I can describe it. I prefer Tobias than Gallinari as a high owned guy. Although Harris is going to be much higher owned, I suppose. And then I would go. I put TJ Warren in. Again, he's not going to be that particularly sneaky either, but he's fine.
Careful, though. Before you know it with your lineups, you're going to end up with a lot of Indiana exposure.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. I ended up with my first lineup had three Pacers, right? It had Brogdon, Warren, and Sabonis run back with McCollum. I know I definitely need to work on that for sure. What am I going to do, play Wiggins? I don't want to play Wiggins. What do I have to play, Carmelo? I don't want to play him either. I guess I'm just going to have to chalk. I got to play Tobias Harris and I don't know. You want to give me somebody else to play? You want me to play Juan Toscano Anderson? I don't know. Who do you want me to play?
Why not just play chalk here? Like we've already been differentiating it. Somewhere between Harris, Gallinari, TJ Warren, and honestly, the guy I do kind of like, who I'd never like, Harrison Barnes.
Okay.
He also probably get a little bit of a usage tick. His minutes are just so locked in if the game is reasonably close. And raw points, like he's going to get you 25 plus probably more often than not here. And he's going to get you 30 to 40, probably about, especially if Fox is out, I would imagine like 40% of the time. And that's actually, more I think about it, maybe he really is the play. TJ Warren is the better guy who stands out. But again, I could end up with 500 Pacers in this lineup from a
right.
But I sort of like that Harrison Barnes a little bit off the board. But if the rest of our lineup is the way it is, why do we have to get creative? Why can't we just play one of Warren or Gallinari?
Yeah. Take my 5X and be done with it.
And let's just think for a second, though. Who do we prefer between Warren and Gallinari? Because that's a big decision. Maybe give Gallo the edge just because we have.
I guess copping out, I would say go for the lower owned guy. But I do think Gallinari is probably better play.
What's weird is that Gallinari is definitely safer, and Warren will probably be higher owned. And we're playing a bunch of other Indiana guys, so I think I would give the edge to Gallinari over here, actually.
Yeah.
I really like my lineup. I'm loving this. I'm just worried now that me and you are doing this, because you could literally figure out exactly what I'm doing if you were just paying attention. It's not hard to hide. Like, there's not a whole lot of places to pivot, and where you do, like, it's going to be obvious.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see if we can get somewhat creative. So power forward, dude. As much as I would love to fade a zillion % on Al Horford, he's 48 freaking hundred, man. I don't know, man. It's gonna be a rough one. The one thing I will say is that I could try to just outpoint everybody by going maybe like Davis and Sabonis or something like that. I wanted to try that, just pay up for both of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna if I try to pivot, for example, off of Horford at the position, then I'm looking at like Pascal or Harry Giles, those types. I just don't think I can get away with it.
Yeah, but you don't need to pivot like that. Like Harry Giles would be fine, I think, actually, as like a long shot pivot. But you don't need to. Why wouldn't you just go for Sabonis? You could go the other way with one of the Sabonis.
A Randall maybe.
Yeah, but I actually think the interesting pivot off of everyone is Kuzma and Draymond.
Ooh.
There's your crazy low-owned guy, Kuzma.
It is, huh?
I mean, dude, there's upside for Kuzma. This guy can put up 40. Like, he can put up 40 real-life points. And what about Julius Randle?
That's what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna play these Sixers, it certainly makes some sense.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm
in.
I mean, we do like Davis a little bit, right? I mean, like.
Oh, the Davis is just. You can play Davis, or you can play I'm gonna play Davis. Don't get me wrong, but I'm also gonna have some. You could put a Randall Sabonis lineup together. You could do it. You could do a Kuzma and Davis. It doesn't take away. Don't worry about them being on the same team.
Like if you don't play Davis, for example, is that enough? I mean, or you need to do something else?
Because of the ownership to Horford and Sabonis, I don't think it's enough.
Right. Well, no, this one I'm having, Horford and Randall.
Yeah. Okay. So
I probably need to fade Rondo, right? I mean, like.
No. What I would do is, why not just take somebody play the upside game at power forward and drop down small. Oh no, play drop down to Kuzma. If you're not going to play Davis, by the way, that actually, if I wasn't playing Davis in the lineup, I actually think that's where a Kuzma play would make even more sense. And then you could, I guess you just upgrade Josh. It doesn't work quite, does it? You do the point guard and shooting. I guess you could fade Rondo.
You could.
Oh.
Then again, it's maybe just fading.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say not in the $500 tournament, but in the $7, whatever the million-person tournament is tonight, that someone who leaves like 700 on the table is gonna win the tournament. 1,000 maybe even. It's
Or
just
you
there's
know what you know what you could do at 6:55 or whatever. You do it 6:58 if at 2 minutes before lock, if you have no news on Fox, you know what you could do? You could play Fox.
I would be nervous about that though, because I think he'll have some ownership, and I think there's more.
You think so?
I mean, in these situations, especially because it's not like an illness, because an illness is like that can go away. The other stuff is usually more severe if it's an in-day downgrade. So I would be really nervous about that. So I would be more speculative and try to play more Bogdanovich maybe, or try to get a Heald. That's why I like Heald better. Yeah, I mean that's good. I'm fading McCollum. That's what I'm doing. I'm just not playing him.
Oh, okay. Well, that's easy then.
Yeah, for me, just 100%. I'm just going to go Buddy Heald, some combination of the Heald, Oladipo, whatever at shooting guard, so I can play chalk pretty much everywhere else. Even though it would be nice to get a Kyle Kuzma lineup in there, so I would probably have to play McCollum.
Well, if you're playing a bunch of lineups, for example, I mean, do you want to really consider maybe one of those like blowout runs with the Portland game? Like I don't know, you mentioned Simons in a while ago.
On DraftKings, I think it makes more sense because of the positions and stuff over here, the way it works. But I guess it's Simons. You could make an argument for him over here. The only difference is Shake is much closer to the same price over here. You're getting more of a discount on potentially Corey Joseph. You know what I mean? It just doesn't quite work for me the same way it did before. And that was before the Fox news too, so not quite as into it as I was. But I like the idea of playing that blowout angle. And I do think you could still play Oladipo in the blowout. And just by the way, just not playing more than one pacer is already playing the blowout angle, because everybody else. I mean, most people are going to end up, I think, with two pacers in their lineups. At least a lot of them will. Well, no, anyone who's playing Oladipo will probably have another pacer in their lineup. It's my bet.
Okay, well, before we leave this position, I would like to go on record as saying that I do think that Davis and Horford are the two best players. And if I were playing cash, I would probably play both of those. And I would play Rondo, and I would play McCollum. You know what I mean? Like, right. I do think there's some very, very strong plays. You know what I mean? We're trying to create GPP lineups, and more importantly, we're trying to create a GPP mindset for you guys. You know what I mean? To see how we kind of analyze this stuff, and it's not necessarily just the best players.
I actually think if you want to, I mean, I have a weird take on this. Like, I actually am playing Horford because the way I built my lineup.
Oh, yes, I guess you're not. I guess you're not.
That take is going to have to go away. Oh, my God. I was going to say playing a Draymond instead of a Horford with Davis or something.
Okay.
Or Kuzma, like I mentioned. But Randall makes a lot of sense. I just want to – Horford, if you're looking for the reason to fade, the one thing over here, he won't be quite as high owned because people are going to play Sabonis, and some will play Randall. But he's, if you want to look for the excuse to not, Horford on a back-to-back and a 3 of 4 on at whatever his age is, you could find a way. I'm just saying, like, if you want, you can.
How do you like these apples? All right. So if you go to center. If you pay up Whiteside, I mean, Whiteside's the only guy you can pay up for. So there's Whiteside, he rates to be fine. And everybody else is just the same as far as I'm concerned. I mean, Adams, Turner, Mitchell Robinson, as far as like values, you want to pay down for JaVale McGee, you can try that, or Howard, I don't know which one you pick. But just the way that this kind of bill was kind of lending, I'm like, boy, oh boy, I could just have Mitchell Robinson at 5,400 here. And like, I'm just looking at this build, for example. Like, this one's got the chalk in that it has the, Davis, Horford, and Rondo. And what it has is it's got McCollum with TJ Warren run back. It's got Chris Paul and Buddy Hield together. And then it's got a Mitchell Robinson along with the Tobias Harris and Horford. So I think this could be enough, I think. I don't know. Maybe not. I'm like looking at this. The Hield thing, I guess I'm hoping for a lot less ownership than I might end up getting on Hield.
Yeah, I mean, I think we might. The center is weird because I don't even like Whiteside, and I still find it hard not to play him here. Right. You basically have to fade Horford if you don't play him. So I'm doing that. So
you have to fade Horford if you don't play Whiteside.
If you want, because if you're going to pay up for your other power forward spot, that's the only way not to play Whiteside. Otherwise, you have like 3,000 left on the table.
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
I'm not playing McCollum.
I keep forgetting. Okay.
So I'm skipping McCollum, Whiteside, but I'm playing Davis.
You could pay up for 2 point guards and screw Rondo.
How?
I meant paying up being Brogdon.
Brogdon and CP. That's totally.
And Chris Paul. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Legitimate. I actually like that quite a bit. Brogdon and CP because, yeah, that's actually a good way to go. And then you can change your center, and you're right. Boom, you're right at Steven Adams. Exactly at Steven Adams. Right.
This looks a little.
That's awesome. Isn't it? Wait, yeah. Look at that. Then Steven Adams. Wait, hold on. Who are our big pivots though?
That's what I'm saying. Like.
Yeah, I didn't realize exactly what I was doing.
Yeah,
that's the lineup of the day.
Well, the more I'm thinking about it, like maybe you're right. Maybe just have to eat it and hope McCollum just doesn't do it.
I'm telling you, man. This is a team that can get after. This is a good defensive team, especially against his position.
Well, what? Okay, let's have some more fun. What if De'Aaron Fox doesn't play? Okay, if De'Aaron Fox doesn't play, or let's say we don't know because this is awesome. So it's on Fanduel, right? So if he doesn't play, we want to play probably Healed, and can we play him and Bogdanovich together?
Absolutely.
There you go. Okay. So we play both of them together, and then we have Oklahoma City guys. So we have Chris Paul. We can't use Shea because we have our two shooting guards taken care of, right?
Take TJ Warren out, put in Gallo.
No. Let's just take all this stuff out for just a second. Okay. So I'm saying we're going to start with this Sacramento. The idea being this Sacramento game. So I'm staring at Chris Paul and Steven Adams, right? And on the other side, we're going to have Healed and Bogdanovich. So it looks like you could just pay up for everybody now, almost, right?
Pretty much.
So we'll leave power forward just in case.
Yeah, because we can make the choice between those two guys and feel good about it either way.
And let's say we go chalky here. So we go Harris and we go Gallinari, right? So now we have 5,800. So if we went Rondo, we could do anything, right?
Hold on. This is interesting, actually. What if you played Brogdon and then at power forward you played Bielitsa?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, can we play second?
Oh my God, we even have too much to spend left. But I said 700. Said 700 to win the
No. This wins. You know what I mean? Like,
that wins it. That's the winner.
It just wins. You know what I mean?
I mean,
it doesn't have to win, but that's the kind of thing that can win. Like, if that game goes to overtime, like, you win. It's like.
No, I like that quite a bit, actually. Anyway,
so
guys,
yeah,
go ahead.
I was just saying, so there's ways to screw around where you can make, good plays and at least be betting on a chance to win. You know what I mean? To win the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And you can eat some of the chalk. That's what I would say. Don't eat all of it, but eat some of it. All right, Chiefs. Good job, man. Guys, hopefully we were helpful. Please give us a like, thumbs up. Really means a lot to us. And I will be doing my BetQL/RotoQL show at 4 Eastern time. So come and check us out.
Is that going to be like standard usually about 4 o'clock?
Right around then is the plan, but it'll vary depending on the day sometimes. We're still figuring it out.
Okay. Well, what am I going to say? So hit the like, hit the subscribe.
Yeah.
Tweet, retweet, post on Friendster, whatever you got going on.
Friendster.
It's all good.
MySpace. All right,
MySpace.
We'll see you at the top of the leaderboards.